Welcome back to Cougar Chronicle, and happy June.
Happy June.
I can't
So
believe it.
excited. Again, second time we've filmed in the middle school. Very exciting
Right.
time.
It's nice to be back here. I love it.
Just to break things up a little bit and change the atmosphere. But so excited for this first segment for our guests.
Me too.
I will tell you.
Very special segment.
When people go, how did you wind up in New Hampshire?
Right.
My first smart aleck response is the judge. The judge said either join the military or move to New Hampshire. So I picked New Hampshire. But truly what it was is when positions were open, I would jump online and look and see what was around the area. I did want to live in a city. We want to live someplace where we could be involved with the outdoors. And Kearsarge obviously has that. And then started digging into the quality of the district. So it's a little bit the cart before the horse kind of piece. But when I got out here, one of the things doing the research was Project Climb, which is some of our first guests.
Yes.
And number one, just such a storied history and an evolution of ways to be able to provide kids opportunities to be involved with stuff, and I'll let them tell this story. But I'm so excited to have Carter Bascom,
who is a Kearsarge kid.
Kearsarge kid, and also my boss, because he is a board member, so hello, sir.
Oh, here we go, that's right.
As we get from there. But he's not wearing that hat today. And Lindsay Brook, who's our middle school special ed teacher, and they're both two of the counselors that we have for Project.
Yeah, there we go.
They are the Swiss Army knife of climb, as we do that way.
Exactly. What a great program. I mean, we were just before we went on the air, we were talking about the origin of it, and it goes back years, doesn't it?
It does. We were at Sealand Falls Hut, so one of the backcountry huts in the AMC. And Lindsay, actually, do you want to tell the story?
Sure. When you go up to an AMC hut, they have this really cool history of all of the logs where anyone visiting the hut can write a journal entry, and so they date all the way back to the 70s and 80s. So I was perusing the 90s just out of curiosity, and I opened the 1994 binder, and there were logs and logs of entries from, any civilian and traveling the AMCs.
Sure.
And I found one that was from a Kearsarge entry and from students of our
I love it.
school, and it was really cool. But it was the original Project C, which was our way back in the 1977. We had an environmental program at the high school called Project C.
And it morphed into this?
Yeah.
It stood for Seeking Environmental Education, and over the years, it transitioned to...
Yeah, I went and moved on to 1995 journal and found the first ever entry of Project Climb students.
Oh, what a
which
great
was
history.
super cool.
Yes, that's a great story.
And so Project Climb stands for Challenging Limitations in Mind and Body.
Okay.
And that was a very well thought out acronym.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
We're very lucky to have Lindsay join the advisor group because Lindsay's dad, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but he was one of the founding and pivotal sort of founders of the program, him as well as Mark Breyer and Joanne Tulinen. So they really have done a fantastic job of creating really what Project Climb is today. And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And they were faculty and staff at the high school.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is full circle, and it's really nice.
Well, it must be great, Lindsay, to carry that on.
It is. And Carter and I were in high school together, so it's so fun to be back here together. We enjoyed it as students ourselves, and then to be leading the way feels kind of weird, but also awesome.
You're right. All grown up, right?
Yeah.
Talk about some of the activities. I'm new to the area. Obviously, I'm not now, but I'm a new student. I come in, I hear about Project Climb. What am I going to be able to do through Project Climb?
Overarchingly, it's an outdoor leadership program. We fall under the extracurriculars for the district. It's high school driven for the most part. We do incorporate an 8th grader group trip once a year to try and get some involvement from the younger kids. But we leave on Friday mornings. We take about 35 to 40 kids.
Wow. Okay.
On each trip. I think overall we incorporate about 100 kids coming and going on the various trips throughout a year. And we travel and go on adventures.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Our flagship trips, the ones that get the most signups are our hut trips. So I kind of alluded
Right.
that earlier,
Yeah.
where we use the Appalachian Mountain Club's hut system in the winter time. There are 8 huts that exist, backcountry huts that exist in the White Mountains. 3 of those are open during the winter time.
Which are they, Carter?
Yeah, so it's Lonesome Lake,
Yep.
Zealand Falls Hut, and Carter Notch Hut.
Gotcha. I didn't know the third
So
one.
we
Okay.
go to all 3 of those huts
Oh, how
throughout the
wonderful.
self-service season. When we're not at a hut, we are also doing other trips. So we do a canoeing and camping trip where the kids learn how to use cooking stoves, learn basic skills of how to canoe. We will usually do a backpack camping trip, and in the past we've gone up to Mount Moosilauke to the Beaver Brook shelter.
Oh, wow.
And same thing, backpacking, learning how to set up a tent, using cook stoves. We've done a day trip to what used to be called EVO, but it's now New Hampshire Climbing and Fitness, and so that's the rock climbing wall in Concord.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So we'll
Yeah,
do a
yeah,
day
yeah.
trip
Okay.
there.
Yes.
And then usually this time of year, we try to do some kind of celebration, whether it be like a canoeing trip somewhere or have the seniors plan and prepare a trip. We're in the works right now. We're trying to do a backpacking camping trip that would sort of culminate the end of the year before the end of year celebration.
Gotcha.
Most years we do around 6 to 7 trips from the beginning
That's
of school
a
in
lot.
September. Yeah.
And a lot of you coordinating 30 to 35 students. That's a ton.
And we were actually just looking back at some of the past trips that
Yeah.
Climb used to do.
They way back in the day, they used to every year print a T-shirt for the students to like take home for the season and
Yes.
for the year, and it usually had the school year and then the list of the trip dates, and then all the kids would sign it, and then these
wonderful.
T-shirts would be printed for them to take for the
Memories. and-
reward.
Yeah.
And so those old T-shirts have somewhere between 12 to 14 trips a year. Carter and I were laughing because we're like, how did the advisors manage it all?
Wow. That's a lot.
They used to do, before the district, very thankfully and graciously now helps to provide resources to the program to allow us to go on these trips. Before it was all fundraising activities.
Gotcha.
So they would do a bike ride, many miles of bike riding to raise money. They would also do bigger trips. I mean, they would go and do whitewater rafting, whitewater canoeing. They would do sea kayaking. We've talked about like, oh, how cool would that be
Yeah,
to
how do we go
have a
back
trip?
to-
How do we get back to
Right,
some of these cooler
right.
trips or different trips, I should
Bike
say.
riding was a big
Yeah.
aspect of it in the past, right? I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a big fundraiser.
A lot of it shifted though because the philosophy of the program, they noticed when they founded it and started it that a lot of the students who were wealthier were going on the trips because they had access to bikes or
Right, and that-
packs or
you needed
gear.
Open it up, right?
Yeah, and so they started doing a lot of fundraising. When I was a child, I remember actually my dad attached one of those like kid to the back of his bicycle, like an attachment with like 2 wheels and handles.
Yes, yes.
And I remember biking for the fundraiser as a 7-year-old.
What a great
And then,
memory.
gotta contribute.
right. I can do it, Dad.
But then I also remember our house was filled with birdhouses because the advisors, Mark Breyer and my dad worked in the wood shop at the Kearsarge High School. So they would make and have students make a ton of birdhouses to sell.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so they had a bunch of fundraising through the 90s
Sure.
to try and gather sleeping bags and backpacks and the things that they would need to make it accessible for
Sure.
any and all students.
And are you feeling that that's taking place now? Is it accessible for anyone to come into the program?
Yeah, and that's one thing we pride ourselves on too with any new students. That's always our shtick when we go, especially to the 8th graders, to have them join in one of our hut trips.
Right.
So we always let them know we have all of the gear for you, and thanks to the generous donors from the early days and also to the district these days, we are able to have enough gear, sleeping bags, hiking boots, backpacks,
Yeah.
layers, gloves, headlamps, water bottles, like you name
Canoes.
it. Canoes, we've got the gear. So it's really accessible and very affordable for the kids to come on trips. And that's really one of the goals of the program, is to give kids an opportunity to go outdoors who wouldn't necessarily have the means to do it or the gear, because it is very expensive
Yeah.
to have backpacks and negative 20-degree sleeping bags.
Exactly, and to know what you need, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And it really has become, they have their own budget line item every year, and the advisor positions are also covered through the district. And so the amount of equipment that they have is pretty unbelievable.
Extensive.
But really, I mean, you've got, not everybody fits the same mold,
Right.
All three of
Right.
us are, two very active outdoor person, want to be here, and we're shaped differently. And so
Right,
we have to
right.
have different equipment that goes
Right,
with those
right,
needs.
right.
And so then you add the extra element of wintertime
Oh,
hiking.
absolutely.
So micro spikes or snowshoes.
Sure.
And all the fun that goes with that.
And by the way, Superintendent Fortney, which I'm
Yes,
not allowed
ma'am.
to call you, thank you for attending and going on that. I mean, that was so
Yeah, it was
I
really
did
special
have a
to
blast.
see. I
Dawn
mean, for the
visit.
for the students to gain that experience and to really what a good thing to have happen.
I mean, it's selfish. I can sit here and be like, oh, I did it for the kid. I did it because I love being outside.
I know
And it was
you do.
what a challenge. I mean, I hiked up for the Saturday. The one thing I'm most proud of that I'll beat my chest on is that same week I was scheduled to be in New Orleans for the National Superintendent's
right, yes,
Conference.
yes.
And I purposely came back a day early because I made the commitment that I would make a hike with Project Climb. And the one before didn't work out for whatever reason, but I told my wife and everybody that absolutely the only thing I have is my word. And so hiked up, and really I don't know if they were really sure if I was still coming or not. I'm
Right.
like, try to be there, but we'd never really connected because I got in at about 9 o'clock Friday night, and then I was up at 6 a.m.
Wow,
the next
good.
morning driving up for the hike. It was a challenge. I'm not going to lie because I'm still getting back in shape of things, but it was the best part, the best thing. I'm sitting at the hut. They were finishing up a hike. High school kid comes walking in. I forget who the young man was, and he goes, "Aren't you my superintendent?" Like just the most real. I'm like,
Right,
I am.
right,
I'm
right.
like, he kind of looked at me. I'm like, and I looked at him and I go,
Yeah.
"We have to talk." Like I hiked all this way just to find him, and he goes,
to make that connection.
"Okay," but it was a blast.
And what a wonderful experience for that student too.
It was for me. The kids
Honestly,
had
all
a
of
time.
them. I think it was really special for the kids to see someone in administration like caring about what they do and
Yes,
what they love.
exactly.
Like I really think that was.
That was a lot of fun.
It was awesome
and then
to
I
have
got
you.
to hike down in the dark, which was
But
its
I'm
own,
still
its
scolding you
own
about
adventure.
your wife and I both.
Well,
Not happy.
my wife and I backpack on the Appalachian Trail in Virginia at 10, 11 o'clock at night. So, I mean, I don't put myself in situations that I don't think I can handle.
I know you
It was a
do. I know.
challenge, and
I
it was
know. It
different.
was a challenge.
But I will tell you what, it 100% was time well spent. And I think from conversation I've had with Carter and Lindsay and the other advisors, probably that Lonesome Lake trip will be the day that I can get up there.
Right.
Because some of the others are not that it's just longer to get in and out.
Exactly.
Because of multiple miles, and that's you
That's
make it through the
accessible.
elevation
Right,
and go
you
from
do
there.
it. So we got the 1 minute wrap up 2 minutes ago.
Always get the 1 minute wrap up.
2 minutes ago, but before we leave, very quickly, why Carter and Lindsay? Why should students come? Why do you do this?
That's a great question. I know my answer. For me,
I know my
it was probably one of the most formative programs that I had, being able to go through the high school, and we
Right.
both had the opportunity to attend as kids. So I think for me, it's really what we try to do is break down social barriers and really get everyone to work together as a team and work together in the outdoors. And that has really been one of the main reasons why I'm so passionate about being in the outdoors, is because of this program. So I'm very
love that.
thankful and honored to continue that tradition going
Well, thank
forward.
you.
Yeah.
And I would agree. I think this program has such a community and a sense of like belonging for any and all type of student. It doesn't allow for jocks and nerds, and it creates this atmosphere of we're all in it together. We have elements to persevere through and challenge ourselves, and we have to help each other through it and get out the other side and on the way back.
We're
So.
lucky.
I will tell you that I have watched and heard stories of the evolution of kids that were struggling in the beginning that then become leaders
Right.
later in the series of that. And that growth, challenged by choice and locking into community support. I mean, you talk about applicable skills in life.
Right. And this is it. Carter, Lindsay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're so grateful. And thanks for your work.
They do great work, and we're excited to do that. And we'll continue, but we'll try to get some video next time. The only regret I have on the trip was I didn't get a picture with the kids.
Oh,
So-
I know.
Next
That's
time.
always a
Next time.
regret.
It'll be all right.
Okay,
So-
so stick around. We have some great interviews coming up. Some students are coming in.
Very excited. This will be our very first students on the
Yay.
program, talking about our LNA program and showcasing some of the great work. As it seems to be a long-term kind of thing. You see the career technical education opportunities
this is a great
that happen for
opportunity.
kids, and I think you may or may not have a connection with
I'm
one
so
of them.
excited.
So
I
she's
know, I
very
can't even
plugged,
stand
very
it.
happy to be here, and it'll be a great chance to show that off. So we're looking forward to it.
Hang with us here on Cougar Chronicle. you for joining us. A big day today.
Another exciting segment. I tell you what, Project Climb, the history of that.
That was great.
I mean, just
There was so much we didn't talk
the
about.
longevity of that, that's going to be a multiple.
for 2
That's a
hours.
multiple segment one.
Yes.
I don't know how you get all of what that encompasses in just a 10 or 12-minute segment. So we'll definitely have them back. I'm sure there's information because, with celebrating the 30-year anniversary of it, they were able to come in and present to the school board a couple months ago. They had showed part of a video that kind of had all the history of things. So there's
great.
so much there.
And I just remember I had Peter Keene's daughter in kindergarten years ago. He's been with them for 29 years running Project Climb. Isn't that amazing?
Well, that's legacy, and that's why we have things going. So, all right, so we go about talking about teachers as always working with students, and now we have students.
Yay, you are our first students on the show.
Ever in the history of it.
Yes,
so, welcome. Welcome. There you go. Renee and Gage. Now, obviously, they're like, we're here, hello. But the question is, why are they here? Both of these students are part of our LNA program, studies program at the high school. And one of the things that I love, I'm very competitive. So anything we can do something that's better than everybody else, we're going to highlight.
And we are.
And
Now,
I would say
brag first, because you were so excited.
With the LNA program. So this year is the 3rd year in a row.
Okay, 3 years.
That 100% of our LNA students passed their final exam, their licensing exam, first try.
That's huge. All of our
100%.
students.
Everybody.
3rd year in a row.
Now, I don't care if there's 20 of them or 1. Everybody. But we had more than 1. So obviously we've got 2 sitting here.
Oh,
so
that's great.
Welcome.
Oh, we're so
excited.
Both of you.
About this. Take a minute. A couple of things. One, introduce yourselves. What year you are, and then talk about what the LNA program is.
Okay. I'm Renee Purslow. I took the LNA program my junior year of high school, and the LNA program, it was a great opportunity to see if I loved nursing and see if I wanted to continue that after high school, and I love it, so I'm planning on going into the medical field, getting my RN, and hopefully working in labor and delivery. So.
So it's your first year involved.
Yep.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great.
Very exciting.
A chance to do that.
I'm Gage Richard. I'm a junior this year, and just like Renee, I did the LNA program through the beginning of sophomore summer all the way to the the first semester of junior year. I plan to try and apply for NEC for the 3-year nursing program, and then get my Bachelor of Science degree and see where we go from there.
So that's one. So you'll go to New England, apply to New England College, and they're both coming out with an LNA certification when they're done with the program. That's huge.
They are career ready today.
That's
as
amazing.
juniors. They think about that. They have the ability to walk into a career now, but yet they both are going to obviously keep going and doing that. Gage, do you have an area? I know Renee was talking about wanting to do labor and delivery. Do you have an area that catches your fancy?
Probably just a normal registered nurse or RN, and maybe a little bit of travel nursing while I'm young.
That's a big field. Yeah, a lot of opportunity.
Travel. I will tell you, in Missouri, I've had the opportunity to meet a couple of travel nurses. Both of them owned vans, like these Sprinter vans they had converted. And so they literally, the hospitals, you talk about a field, the nursing field is so needy.
It is
such a
Allied Health
almost
is huge.
a cutthroat business because the bonuses, the sign-on bonuses, longevity stipends. But I saw a hospital in Missouri that had built, it looked like a campground behind it, so that way traveling nurses could plug in, and that was part of their pay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Was that you weren't paying for
free,
housing, so
yeah.
they just traveled from there.
Oh, that's
so a lot
awesome.
of really cool stuff. Labor delivery's got its own.
Yeah, now Renee, why labor and delivery? What made you get into that?
I don't know. I've just always been kind of interested in that, and my mom's a medical assistant at New London Hospital, so I've always seen it, and she works with little kids, so I love that. But I kind of want to be firsthand there. So
that's great.
Yeah,
and they get that hands-on experience.
Well, that's it's live experience coming in. So talk about the coursework. What do you have to do? What does your day look like in this program?
So we started the coursework over the summer of our sophomore year going into junior year, and it was not much work, but it was just enough, and there was book work involved and then quizzes, and it got us really prepared and kind of opening our eyes to see what we were going to be stepping into once we hit preclinicals and clinicals. And so yeah, it wasn't too much, I don't think, but it was just enough.
And exposure.
Yeah, exactly.
So Gage clinicals, talk about what are the clinicals? What does that entail?
Well, as Renee just said, there were the clinicals, I believe, the studying over summer, which let me tell you, you don't want to get behind on that. I found out the hard way. But cramming 3 weeks into 1 week and trying to read everything, took a lot out of me.
But you did it.
Yeah. From the summer work, you go into your pre-clinicals in the classroom, where the high school has set up its own little LNA practice room, where we had instructor Luba, who works at New London Hospital. She was very kind. She has a little bit of a thick accent, but it adds to her character. So she basically gave us the rundown of everything that went through in our book. We went over videos, and then we did physical demonstrations on the other 6?
Yeah.
I want to say 6, including Renee, students. And then from there, we moved on to clinicals. Do you want to explain clinicals?
So clinicals is when we got to like step into New London Hospital and like be one-on-one with patients and learn like new skills, which is kind of difficult at first because you have to go in there being confident, like acting like it's not your first time doing things when it is.
Your first time doing it. Scary.
And it's like, but we build like really good connections with all the workers and all the like residents there, and it was a very great experience. We learned like so many new skills that now we can apply to when we work.
And this is your hospital. I had the advantage of, as Renee, she walked in, we were together in kindergarten, and her whole family we know well. But that's the hospital we all went to, right? When there was a, you bumped your elbow or something. So was it odd going back in as, in an official capacity?
It was actually pretty cool because I knew most of the people there because, like I said, my mom works there. But then being able to go around in different rotations, seeing like what other areas of the hospital there were, that was really cool too, to see like which area you preferred more and like what opened your eyes for everything. So
what does an LNA actually do? And then that's
question.
We know it's important, we know it's valuable, but what is it? Break that down.
We basically help the people who can't do certain things, like help them do their daily task, like brushing teeth, showers, like going to the bathroom, even just like getting up and walking around, like was one of the things we'd assist them with. And people like think it's like always just like the gross work, but there were like really good connections you could build. Like you could paint their nails, do their hair, like really nice things that would make them really happy. So those were some of the things that we did during clinicals, if you want to add on.
Basically what Renee said, take an RN where their main duty is to jot down everything, import stuff into computers about the residents there and make sure everything's getting recorded. You as an LNA will step in and do some of the recordings and also some of the other work. Unlike RNs, you don't do IVs, you don't put in catheters and other implements like that.
Gotcha.
Okay, so no blood draws.
Right, there we go, yes, no phlebotomy
Except glucose finger pricks.
Okay.
We can also remove IV catheters, so like once somebody puts an IV in, we can remove it and give them.
But you don't have to start it yet.
No, you don't have to start it yet.
Since both of you are heading that route, it's coming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's happening.
Were there any surprises, Gage, when you got in there, when you first started your rotations and got to the hospital? Was there anything that, just you went, oh, goodness?
Not really. I'm not really, even going into the final test, I didn't have any nerves about it. I don't have the most expressive reaction to something like that.
That's probably good, though.
Yeah.
It can be, and then other times it's a little.
I'm not playing poker with him.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you right now.
Exactly.
But I mean, it was fun. I got to meet Renee's mother, which was pretty fun when we went up to pediatrics. There was PACU, there was ER, there was hospice, which was the main floor that most of the students would stay on. It was a great experience, and to meet the residents, depending if they're there short or long, you still get to know more about them.
Yeah.
Like an instance, I was doing a resident's bed for them, and I just got to get into like a 45-minute ramble while cleaning their room about how they lived and what their career was.
See, right, with this rich history of who this person was, not just the patient lying in the bed.
Connections,
Right.
relationships.
Connections, again, we've been
You're
talking
gonna hear
about
this
that
constantly out of me.
over and over,
Connections,
which is- but that's
relationships.
life.
But that's the important piece of that. And you talk
Learning.
about you have two phenomenal young people that are working with individuals, and as that translates, when they're almost their most vulnerable moments.
That's right,
And
exactly.
to have somebody that they can trust and somebody that is pleasant and whether it demonstrates that they care and want to be around
Absolutely.
them. is what helps the healing process.
Well, you know, from in the hospital, and Renee had said, you know, it's not just the things you'd think, but you come in and you can say, oh, Mrs. Chip, would you like your hair brushed? Or would you like your nails done? Simple things like that can change someone's attitude, right? And their feeling of well-being. You know, that's a, that's a really
well, and all the
important
studies show that you know, how your emotional state affects how you heal.
Right, right,
And
right.
sometimes it's just when people have, I mean, you talk about being in hospice, you've got people that are potentially terminal, and how do you translate graciously
Right, right.
into
Help
the
them
next?
transition. Yes, exactly.
We go from there.
What good experience for you both, too.
Yeah.
What would be something that somebody's thinking about maybe getting in the program? What would be your advice or your?
And we have a minute left, so
Yes,
we'll
we
give you
got
30 seconds
go in
each.
there. So
I
what-
would let them know that you're not just working with the patient, you're working with their family as well, and building a connection with everybody,
That's a
because it's not just them that you're taking care of, you're taking care of everyone as a whole.
Yeah.
And to go in with an open mind. Don't think that you're just going to do the gross work. You're going to also be building relationships with everybody. So
That's wonderful. Gage?
Gage?
Make sure to stay on top of work. Make sure that you reach out whenever you need help. Everyone there that is assisting is very useful with information and anything, even for the online portions, for quizzes and turning in everything else. Everyone's there and very, very available for you to do everything with. So they're always there for you.
What a great program.
Well, great
What a
program,
great
but great.
program.
Are they not great human
That goes
beings?
without saying.
But that's
Absolutely.
the
Young
beauty of the
human
whole thing
beings,
that
yes.
we want to highlight, and could not thank you both enough
thank
for
you.
coming in and being our first students on the
Oh,
show,
very special.
and really highlighting what we've got
Students,
going on.
yeah,
Just
isn't
an
that
absolute
huge?
blast.
Yeah,
an
and
absolute
thank you.
blast.
Congratulations to you both, and
Yeah,
we're so
thank
glad
you.
you're
You've
here.
been here. Wish you best of luck in the future, and the best part is I get to see you for a whole nother year. So I'm the winner. I'm the winner. Next we got one of your favorite
right.
people coming
Michael
up next
Bissett.
thing, our assistant superintendent.
him? Yes.
Good questions, great opportunity
Absolutely.
for him.
And then after that, what happens?
I think it's the end of the show.
Ask the superintendent.
Oh yeah, there's that part. I've been trying to avoid that.
Renee, Gage, thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys
really.
being on.
thank you.
Good. And stay with us. We'll be back with Mr. Bissett.
Yep, right here on the Cougar Chronicle.